Hello! I've got some colored pencil tips for you. I found out about different types of colored pencils through experience. At first, I only used Faber-Castell Polychromos, which are oil-based. They are very vibrant, a little bit soft, but hard enough to sharpen them into
pointed stick.
I work primarily with them. I love how they allow me to layer them a lot, but also achieve very small sharp details. After a while, I bought a few Derwent's Coloursofts and Prismacolors, which are wax-based. They produce lines that are very creamy and soft, and they blend more easily, but I find them a bit harder to work with in terms of details and layering. What's really great about them though is that they tend to stuck up and cover up other colors. I use that to lighten up areas or add highlights. It's kind of like using gouache, which is more opaque than watercolors, to add details. Neutral colors of wax-based colored pencils also double as blenders for me. Student grade pencils, which I've had as a kid and you probably had as a kid, were terrible to work with. They made me absolutely hate colored pencils for more than a decade. If you would like to give colored pencils a try, I would advise to go for artist grade colored pencils. And yes, I know, even a package of 12 pieces is expensive but you can also buy them separately. The first time I bought Polychromos, I bought red, yellow, and blue. Those three colors alone were enough to make me get to know colored pencils, learn how to use them, how to blend, and basically fall in love with them. But it also wouldn't be that big of a deal if I didn't like them and stopped using them, because the price wasn't that high. And buying them separately also can help you decide which type of colored pencils works best for you. I mainly use a base to get rid of texture, and this is a stylistic choice. I just like my illustrations to look very full, and I don't exactly like the white dots that colored pencils leave behind. And using a base, even the thinnest amount of color, helps to achieve those smooth transitions and very rich, almost creamy, flat colors without the white grain. Again, this is purely a stylistic choice, and I've seen a lot of artists who have absolutely gorgeous works and use that texture to their advantage. Having everything filled in with even a thin layer of color helps me to visualize the rest of the illustration, the shading, the highlights, the rendering, if you will, that I tend to do with colored pencils. I do this also to spare myself the pain of drawing with colored pencils, which can take a long time, and then erasing huge parts of the drawing. And crayons can be a huge pain in your buttocks to erase. Watercolors sink into the paper. They are great for thin layers of vibrant color, especially if you are using watercolors like Ecoline. I like to use them to just slightly tint the paper in lighter areas of the illustration, as well as just fill in the portions of the image that I want to have very saturated in strong colors. Gouache is opaque, and I find the colors to be a tiny bit duller than watercolors. They coat the paper with paint, which creates a texture that is slightly different than paper. They dry very matte, and to me they feel more tangible, I guess. The surface they create feels more dense compared to the lightness of watercolors, which is also why I like to use them for areas that I want to have that wooden object-like feel to them. Acrylics create a plastic-like surface if you use thick layers. I use that to create a wooden surface of these masks. Gosh, I really like wooden things. It seems the crayons follow the crevices left by the brush, and I could easily highlight them or darken the shadows within them to make them look even more three-dimensional. And acrylics definitely have the most of that tangible, palpable feeling to them. I also found that the plastic acrylic-like surface is not so easily damaged, which makes it a bit easier to erase crayons or pencils. Oil pastels, I find them to be a bit messy and chaotic, but you can get them to work as a base for colored pencils. It's just they tend to give practically all of the works a very dreamy and hazy look, and they aren't really great for detailed works, but they are still quite fun to work with. To blend, I like to use lots of layers, and I'm gonna be honest, layering colored pencils can take quite a long time. I found that the best way is to lay down thin layers of colors. I find it greatly enhances my drawings, especially because I can add a few different colors in the process of layering to make the final color a bit more rich and varied. Another thing is using blenders, or in my case, neutral color wax-based crayons. I mostly use Derwent Colorsofts. I sometimes also blend with Polychromos pencils, again using more neutral colors like white or creams and different shades of grey. They have so many shades of grey. They do make the colors a tiny bit duller, but I still haven't got around to buying an actual blender. I wish I had known this a long time ago, especially when creating more layered works. Using lots of layers and harder colored pencils, even polychromos, can easily damage your paper to the point where these monstrosities start showing up. So now I usually go for paper that is 250 grams or more, which seems to be doing quite okay, and also using an acrylic base seems to help with the durability of the paper, so keep that in mind. Many times in the past, I have given up on a tool because the first few drawings didn't really work out. And as with everything, learning the tool takes practice. I've learned the most about how to use colored pencils through just practicing and drawing with them. If I had to give any advice on this, it would be experiment, see what you like, what you don't like. Maybe layering won't work for you, but bold, creamy strokes will. Wax-based colored pencils can be a nightmare for some, and oil-based ones can feel too dry for others. Every base, be it watercolors or acrylics, has their pros and cons, and they may work wonders for you or be completely shit. So I just hope you have found something useful in all of that. I truly love working with colored pencils, and maybe they're waiting for you to discover them as well. I guess just have fun, my dudes, because that is the most important thing in it all. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, share your own tips, maybe subscribe to join my dudes club. Thank you again, and see you next time. Bye!